All right, everybody, welcome back to the Spread the Positive podcast. Man, we got a super special show for y'all today. Got my guy Andrae Crimson in the building. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, man. Andrae is a community leader, an attorney, just out here doing a lot of great things for the community, and currently running for Rutherford County Juvenile Judge, right?
That's correct.
All right, man. We're going to get into all of it, right?
Sounds good.
All right. Typically, how I like to do it, man, take it back to early passions, just kind of what kind of got you to this point, man. So take us back to young Andrae, what you're into as a kid, and kind of how we got here.
Oh, absolutely. Man, well, what early Andrae thought he was going to be able to play center field and see if Mickey Mantle would unretire his number 7.
Okay, you're a legendary pinstripes, man,
and play for the Yankees. That was what I thought I was going to go in that direction, man. But
yeah.
Get kind of pivoted away from that as I got into ministry. And then I think I tried to circle back. I think I actually tried out for baseball at MTSU, and man, it was so brutal that I couldn't even finish the tryout because I had set out for several years, and mentally I thought I still had it.
hey, you got to try at least, man.
Hey, I know now that it just wasn't in the cards for me. So.
That's okay. That's all right. So you did go to MT?
I went to MTSU.
All right.
Yeah, sure did.
And studied
political science as my major, and minored in English and criminal justice. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then went on to get law degree, pass the bar, all the things.
Law degree and at Vanderbilt, and then passed the bar. I did a clerkship in DC for a time there, and then came back and actually worked on a local campaign here in Rutherford County. So
nice.
Yeah.
So I kind of got the wheels turning, huh?
Absolutely. So
that's awesome, man. So talk to us about why you're running for a juvenile judge, man.
Sure. Well, it's something that probably about 2 or 3 years ago, I'd said to my wife. I actually ran unsuccessfully for office in 2016 for the seat that Judge Aisha currently occupies, and she's doing a wonderful job there. But this is probably about 2018, and I said, you know what? I said, if I was able to ever to do this again, I'd like to run for juvenile court judge. I said, because that's one of the last places that opportunities you have for young people who are off track to try to redirect them and get them back on track, and they can live a positive existence and whatnot. And so I said that, and knowing full well that, we had a judge, just being perfectly honest, Judge Davenport at that time was just her reputation for being a great judge, a community leader, and all those types of things. It was just stellar. So, it was just to me almost like a, just something that you're just saying or whatnot.
Yeah.
I had I had a great job with Legal Aid Society. And so, it was just something I said kind of wistfully or whatnot. But, so this kind of goes in reverse. So what had happened in 2016 with the students at Hopgood,
yes,
that was something that was not known when I made my statement that it tied back to the juvenile court judge. So kind of had to tell those out of context because, and so, and of course, when that happened, I went to various forums. They held one at Reverend McCarroll's church at First Baptist, because like the community, we're outraged this happened to children who are part of our village, and it doesn't matter that, the children look like me, but red, yellow, black, or white, if this happened in my village, which is where we all live, that should be something that concerns all of us.
Yeah.
Just
out. Yeah. More than concern,
absolutely,
that's just outrage and just not okay, any sense of the word.
And so I thought that at best, as we had actually a couple of meetings. I went to the big meeting that was held on a Sunday, and then Reverend Carroll had Chief Officer Durr, Chief
Mhm.
Durr, and maybe another other official with him, and more kind of a more intimate setting where we asked them questions and things of that nature. So, bottom line, to cut that short, is that the thought going away from that is that was an unfortunate, very unfortunate situation where we thought MPD, an officer to an MPD just kind of bungled things, and that
Mhm.
was the thought that's the extent that it went.
Right.
Yeah,
Little deeper than
a
that.
little deeper in that. So
Yeah.
fast forward, to and I'll answer your question one of these days.
No, you're good, man. We got to get the backstory.
And so fast forward to, I made my statement, I guess a couple of years later after that incident, and then fast forwarded to October of 2021. And of course, that 6-piece volume or 6-piece writing by Maribel Knight and her crew at ProPublica kind of broke. And when that piece was released in such detail, it was just like my eyes were open.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow. And one of the first things that I did was on my social media, I just said, Rutherford County, we've got to do better than this.
Yes.
For our children.
1000%.
And so begin to think about it. And, so that part of me connected with the other part of me that said that to a couple of years ago, and so just then went into a time of prayer and talking with my wife, because those were the two components. I'm directed by my faith, in God, and then, even direct by my faith in God. If Crystal's not going to be on board with me,
yeah, that happy wife, happy life. That's the realest thing ever.
That's the realest thing ever. It's keeping it 100, man. So, when we did that, and I even had a preacher friend of mine pray with me, and got peace in my spirit that this was the kind of the move to make, because a lot of prayer when it is not just recognizing that I'd like to put myself out there to see if I can be of help to my community in this role, but I can't look past my responsibility to my wife and to our children, particularly leaping out on faith.
Yeah.
And I've talked to our congregation, that I had a pretty decent job in administration with Legal Aid Society, and that I would have to resign from that job to actually run.
Oh man.
Because legal aid is funded by Legal Services Corporation in Washington, D.C. And they have a rule that if you are running for any type of office where you have to declare any type of party.
Yeah.
And even if, of course, I'm running as an independent, but even if you say you're independent, but anyone can declare Republican or Democrat, then you have to either avoid running, or if you're going to run, you're going to have to resign. And so that went into the prayer with my wife as well. But got a peace about it. Crystal was 100% on board and just been one of my biggest supporters.
Nice.
So shout out to you.
Shouts to Crystal.
Crystal.
Thank you.
She is amazing.
Oh man.
And our boys, Andrae and Caleb, they're still kind of figuring out kind of what's going on, not necessarily sure. And so, then we launched out and talked to some folks or whatever. I actually had some people approach me. I kind of skipped that step, but I had actually some people approach me after that series that came out. And so then began my prayer process and was at peace with it. And January 17th on MLK Day, because MLK is real special in terms of things. I've studied some of his writings and speeches. And so we announced on that day, and I'd actually let the Judge Davenport know, just as a courtesy, out of respect to her, that probably about a week or so before I announced that I was looking at running, and I just wanted her to know. And she had said she really appreciated me contacting her before I made that announcement. So.
Man, doing it the right way, man.
Yeah, trying to, man.
Yeah, that's tough, dude. I can only imagine. I mean, how's the campaign been? I mean, what's that process like?
Man, Trent.
I know.
I know you want honesty on this show, man. I'm telling you, it's trying. I just saw today, and it's no big deal. I guess it's just like that in some places. We spent we put out one of our big signs. Thanks, the shout out to Jonathan Stroh and my nephew Joseph Chrisman.
Nice.
Worked on it, got it constructed. It was there on um, Memorial, and so I'm riding home after the event right before for this one, and I look up and it's not there.
What?
Not there. So I guess it got pulled, and
Oh
so
my gosh.
it but it's a good thing. I mean, that's part of it. You've got to be visible, or whatnot. And I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy being able to talk with you and those types of things. Having to fundraise is not
Yeah.
the fun part. And I had one of my supporters who's working with our team. She's just we talked about in terms of what we raised, and she said, wow, she said, that's a lot of money. She said that could be going to, I said, I know I can finish her sentence.
Yeah.
It could be going to children. It could be going to Greenhouse. It could be going to Nourish. It could be, that we're raising just to be able to run. So that's the part that I'm not crazy about. But
it's necessary, right?
It's
you have necessary. To do it, man.
You got to do it. Got to do it.
All right, let's talk about some of the talk. I mean, some of your I guess just what you're running on, what you're basing everything on, what you want to see change.
Sure,
I mean, obviously the things that have happened are, I mean, there's not a good way to, here it's Brother Positive. We try to put a positive spin on most things, and it's just impossible with that one. So, it's just gut wrenching, and just everything about that was just truly an awful thing. And I mean, and that goes deep, man. Let's just be real. I'll say it. I know the whole, I mean, everybody's thinking it. That goes deep. So let's talk about it, man. How are we going to switch it up?
Sure. Well, there are a number of things in terms of there's administrative things, and that's more substantively that we've got to get worked out. As it relates to that particular docket, the delinquency docket, we've got to make sure that we connect children who've committed minor offenses to more opportunities in the community that they can do. They can work with, whether that's pre-petition. There's options to get things worked out before a petition is filed. There, when a charge is being considered, and so we want to work in that process as well. I've talked with Dr. Sarah Murphy with Coalition Prevention for Success.
Nice.
And she's doing some great work in there and trying to identify those particular behaviors at the very early stage when a child is kind of getting off track.
Yeah.
And my view towards the delinquency docket and children getting in trouble is that just like we do with education, and there's a big focus on pre-K and those things. That's why we also have to focus on discipline,
right?
Focusing in terms of, in other words, a focus to see how can we redirect when that child is first starting to, I don't know, whatever it is, they get curse in school, disrespectful to a teacher or whatnot. We need to begin to see what are resources that we can begin to invest or to redirect them to, so that we're getting on this thing early, and just like that is important in the educational context. I think it's just as important in the discipline context. Not getting on it early in terms of let's put them in the jail and throw away the key.
Well, pause. No, definitely not that.
But see where we can begin to redirect them towards resources. Pre-petition, of course, once the petition is filed, you can look into diversion, and so that is an opportunity to see can that child complete some a set of conditions whereby he or she agreeing and compliant and those types of things, probation or whatnot, so that ultimately you don't have to have that trial, to determine whether that child is delinquent or not.
Right.
And so really want to focus on those early pre-petition and diversion is where I think more of our attention needs to turn to, and just to make sure, obviously, to examine, if it's something that may not be, a crime at all, and I think that should be clear, and hopefully that there's minimal a chance of that happening again. But we want to make sure that we are, and that way we can focus our attention, because unfortunately, Trent, there's enough of the violence, there's enough of
Yeah.
the drugs, there's enough of behavioral health, that should take our attention, whereby we're not, throwing the hammer down on an off-campus fight where there's no one that needs to have medical care or
Right.
those types of things, and so to redirect our attention to those more serious matters.
That's good. I mean, yeah. I just hate to say that's some common, that makes a lot of sense to me, and
sure.
something that definitely needs to be implemented, man.
Sure.
I got to give a shout out to Pastor Mike Davis. Do you know Pastor Mike?
I do, man. I
Yeah.
had coffee with him not long ago.
Nice. I mean, he's at the JDC chaplain, and he's just an salt of the earth human, man. I got to participate in his We Lead program that he was doing for a while, and man, you just talk like some of those resources and some of that stuff that I've personally witnessed firsthand work. I mean, I think people like Pastor Mike, and
Absolutely.
I mean, there's like Endure Athletics, there's a lot of these programs in place that can facilitate this change, and getting these, honestly, man, his curriculum is so good. Like, just, I got to give him a shout out. 11th Hour Podcast, man. Check him out. STP Network, shameless plug. But, but Pastor, I mean, that type of stuff can be implemented.
Absolutely.
And I literally watched it more than once, the way the kids, understand the way they understand and the way they want to get better, and the way that they respect someone like Pastor Mike. And it's been fun to watch, man, and I hope there's ways that like that could be more easily accessible. And I know we're working on some stuff on our end, but do you have any suggestions in regard to that, or like?
I think that's good. Absolutely. I think he's wonderful. I've listened to his podcast. I think I actually listened to the podcast where he had Dr. Hatchett on, the Laverne's high school principal. Tremendous podcast.
That was a good one. Yep.
And just talk with him, man. He's doing some phenomenal work. I haven't had my hands on his materials yet or whatnot, but I'd love to do that. But one thought in my mind is that particularly with our community, some are worried about the lawsuits and the fallout of that. I know one has been settled, but there are still some others that are out there. And so, my agenda is that, I can't bring a lot of cost in my vision, because they're worried about how is this other things are going to work out. And so we're going to try to do our best to work within some of the provisions that we have. But one thing I'd love to see, and I'd like to talk with Pastor Mike to see whether he would like to go full time. I know he's part-time in that, I think about 25 hours or so a week or something to that effect. But he's tremendous. I'm a fan, after speaking with him in terms of the encouragement that he has, the motivation. I like the fact that he has the ability, and I think that's, even as a person of faith, I think that he has the ability to reach out to a child who's willing to talk, and if they mention God or they mention faith, he can talk to them about that way. But if they are atheists, if they're agnostic, if they don't believe, he has the tools and the resources to reach and make contact with them, as a mentor, with no implementation or mention of that faith element too, so that there's hopefully no offense there. So I love that the flexibility with what he has to offer. So I would love to see, and I would go before the commission to say, hey, I'm going to work within what I have, but let's see if Pastor Mike, is willing to. Let's see, can we etch out him, full time, because we've got to have something in terms of mentoring to offer our children.
Yes.
One of the things I think that also is a lot of room, we need to rejoin our connection with Boys and Girls Club.
Yes, man.
They offer a ton of programming, from budgeting classes to mentoring to being an athletic outlet to connecting them with resources as relates to higher ed and those types of things for our teens. But that relationship has not been rekindled for, going on some 9 years.
Man.
I talked to the director. I said, from day one, I'm giving you a call. We want to get those, and that goes into part of, my platform, is that I want to do quarterly meetings throughout the community in partnership with the county and the city schools so that they can meet the judge.
Yeah.
I want to help try to build back that rapport. And so hopefully they can see me. I love for as many. I've got to, would obviously have to work out the hours for employees who are non-exempt or whatnot, but to come meet our staff, so that they can see us in a setting that's not a judicial setting, because obviously it's not good for the first time you see me is when I'm about to make a pronouncement. Right. Robed out. I like that, when I'm robed out. So I want them to see me, see our team, and to know about the services that we provide. But then I'd love to have a Pastor Mike out there so that parents, guardians, and children can come to these quarterly meetings, and they can see other services, Boys and Girls Club, Greenhouse Ministries. I talked to a man who has a bicycle program that he'd like to enroll young children in. Let's make that kind of a gathering where, my part would be just kind of meet me, but I'm more like a facilitator, so that you can really see what, how, if there are internships that are being offered, in the community or whatnot.
Right here.
Right here.
Come through, man.
Well, I want you to be there, Trent.
Right
so
here.
that with these quarterly meetings, it also turns into almost like a resource fair or whatever for our children, for parents to learn about programs. Bishop Chris Johnson is doing some wonderful work with Man-Maker Academy. I'm actually talking to him at 6 today.
Okay.
Yeah. Teens, men ages 13 through 18.
Man-Maker. I like that.
And he's talking to them just about being responsible, men, for taking responsibility for our actions, talking to them about, treating women with respect, following the guidelines. He introduces them. That's what really he introduces, and particularly, just to be honest, for it's open to all. There have been a number of persons of color that have been part of his academy, and he brings in, like, for instance, one of the members of our church who is a detective from MPD to talk with them, so he can talk to them about what does an encounter with law enforcement look like,
right?
And, what is a correct response, what is an incorrect response, and it's great that happens under the roof of a comfortable environment, as opposed to the first time it being happening is when a child is driving, at 16, and an officer has pulled him or her over. I mean, so those are the types of services that I'd like to build out when we have these quarterly meetings, so it really becomes something that is supportive of children and their families.
When do you think those will start, or have they started?
They haven't started. I'd love to start that in early first quarter of 2023.
Okay.
I've talked with Dr. Duke,
okay,
with Murfreesboro City Schools. Of course, the county's just chose their new director, who's going to take over after Mr. Spurlock. I think is Mr. Let's see what Mr. James Sullivan, I think, has been picked as the new director of county schools. So I'd love to get on his calendar to talk. But Dr. Duke seemed open to partnering with, and I think partnerships is what it's all about.
That collaboration, man. Yep. Just being, I think that's what's it gets lost in translation somehow. But there's so much of stuff that's here that's working, that's something that, that's the baseline of this whole STP thing, bringing light to what's going right and what's actually working. Like, I think, call me crazy, I would like more of what's actually working and less of the divisive and enough of the fear and everybody hating everybody. It's just not the case, man. It's really not. And our community here in Murfreesboro in particular, Rutherford County, and we got some incredible things happening. So and the change that you're going to bring is going to be, something that we need. Pump for that. Y'all be sure to vote, get out there, do your civic duty, man. But that's the thing, man. And I salute you for taking the dive. This is it's a big endeavor to take on, and it takes a special person to be doing that. So shouts to you, man. Shouts to you and the whole fam for rallying. But I'm excited, man. I'm really excited to see a lot of this come together, because like you said, there's just some common sense stuff that we could be doing a lot better.
Right,
And just like it would make an immediate impact. And that's what I mean. Yeah, I get stuck on just the fact that we can switch the stuff up.
Yeah.
Like we act like these problems are not fixable, and it's not the case, man. Like we know what to do, what's working, who to put where. The resources are there, the programming's there. Bringing it together.
Absolutely.
Getting your point guard or head coach on, man, and just bringing it together. That's gonna be a cool thing. And we're here. Anything STP can bring to the table. We'd love to be in your corner, whatever we can do, man. And
appreciate you, man, and thank you for what you do in this forum, Trent, man. There, I was just thinking, you talked about in terms of divided, and when I say this name, and I know half people who are listening may have a reaction, half may have a different reaction, but I remember, go back to the conversation that President Obama had with congressional Republicans, and he went to them in it, and I thought that was a brave move. That's going into a environment that may not necessarily be very hospitable to him. But he made one point, and I think it's good, and it goes both ways. So people listening, don't
be afraid. Hey, everyone count to 10.
That's it. Hold up. He said to them, he said, our rhetoric has gotten so strong. He said against each other. He said, and I think he had an article where someone compared him to the devil or whatnot. And he said, here's the problem. He said, I understand we're going to always, and I'm paraphrasing, but we always look at things differently, or from a different lens for a lot of things and whatnot. He said, but one thing about it is, he said, if we continue this rhetoric where we're just so divisive with each other, he said, on some issues, he said, just recognize, he said, there are some issues where we actually, he said, can find a lot of common ground. And he threw out in terms of whether it's tax reform, criminal justice reform, there are a lot of bipartisan feelings toward both those issues. But he said, the problem is, he said, if you have been telling your district that, if you, man, if anyone agrees with President Obama, that's like agreeing with the devil. He said, now you got to go back to a district. He said, when we do approach issues where we can find agreement on and consensus, he said, and now he said, when it looks like we're working together and you can start working with me, he said, now you've got to make the decision of, whether I get on with the devil.
Right. The devil's got a lot of similarities, evidently,
or whatnot. He said, because we've talked about each other so bad, so that when it comes time for areas we agreement, it looks like, to our constituencies, are we giving in? Are have we changed or whatnot? And so if we can learn to tone down some of the rhetoric of our, even for things that are differences, and maybe we'll always be polar opposites, but if we can at least be more civil to each other in our discourse, and you advocate that, and your podcast is a bright light for that, then those areas where we actually can find common ground, we can find common ground and make some meaningful changes and impact on our society. And then hopefully those things that where we are, then at least maybe that discourse that we had where we agreed, we can find out, this person is not so bad.
Right.
I don't agree with them
on everything. That's okay. No, you're not going to agree with anybody. 100%.
But they're not the devil.
Exactly. There's quite a bit of gray area in there.
But I appreciate the pivotal place, your podcast and this whole, medium to spread positive news.
Man.
When when social media and whatnot is just inundated with, verbal, whatever they call it,
garbage.
Man.
I'll go there.
It's good to find, somewhere where someone's talking positive about our community and how people are working together.
That's the thing. I couldn't agree more. And, something I took away from what you just said is something I say a lot on this podcast. Just the fact that you can go find someone that you think you're the most complete opposite of, someone that doesn't believe the same as you, doesn't, name the label, and I guarantee you will have quite a bit in common. That's the thing. Like at a human level, there's quite a bit of things we can fundamentally agree on. Like it's not tricky. Again, like we act like these sure, there's some hot topic, hot button things to,
Sure.
you know, really get the pot stirred, you know,
Right,
but
right,
at our core,
right.
like, we want to be loved. We
That's
want to
right.
have a safe place to live.
Sure.
We want to give back. We want to make some money. Like, it's just
Absolutely.
like,
Absolutely.
and facilitate that, and not be, it's not always the cutthroat approach that this country claims to
Absolutely.
have. Like, there's so much common ground, and so much so many ways to just work together to
Absolutely.
for a better collective, man. Like,
Absolutely.
again, we can do a lot better, and we will. So that's what I appreciate the kind words too about all things STP, because it really is, man. Like, again, it's a media, it's a network, and like you said, we get enough of what's not working. There's plenty of that, man. There's plenty of that. So
Absolutely.
being any type of counter, man, it's been something near and dear to my heart for a long time. So, and it takes one to know one.
Yes, man.
So I appreciate you, and you're definitely part of that, part of what's going right, man. So wrapping up, we always, I gotta go a couple of that signature STP pod questions, man. We covered a lot of them
Sure.
just with but let's go. So when you hear the phrase spread the positive, who's one of the first people in your life that comes to mind that really lives out that message?
Man, that's good. Oh man, first spread the positive. You know, man, that's good. My wife is you know, and I guess I shouldn't have took that long, but she is, you know, she is a positive. For 6 years, she has been an ACEs counselor. Other may call it mental health counselor with Murfreesboro City Schools, and she is so dedicated. You know, she gives her best. Her and that whole team, Mia Zellers, Ashley, does a great job with our children. But to just so, I mean, they're dealing with children who've gone through traumatic experiences, and you know, she gives her best. She gives her best. And I pastor Higher Ground Worship Center. And
shout out to Doe, man. Is that Doe?
Well, yeah, he used to be there. He's now at another ministry, but we're good. We're still friends.
He told me to say what's up. I gotta give a shout out to Doe
he's
too.
A good
shout
man.
out to Doe, man.
A beautiful family.
Yeah,
he and Keisha. But yeah, you know, Crystal is just such a, you know, she loves folks, man. She gives her all, whether she's singing a song, leading the praise team, working with our youth. Obviously, she cares for our 2 kids, and man, just a bright light. And so
that's amazing.
I think about her.
Yeah. Yep. Nailed that one, man. All right. And then something we call the grateful for, man. 4 things you're most grateful for right now. What you got?
Oh man, that's good. Grateful for my relationship with Christ. That's the gift that keeps on giving. Grateful for my wife and children. Thankful for my mom, Brenda Chrisman, who's just a wonderful, wonderful woman of God, wonderful support. And I'm thankful for her, and how my father, the late Larry James Chrisman Sr., how they raised me.
Salute to them.
And so I love them. And then 4th, thank God for, and I got to need include. So this is 3B. I love my brother Larry Chrisman, Larry Chrisman II, Carissa Chrisman, my sister-in-law, all my oh man, and Angelica King, Stephanie Murray, Emmanuel, Josh. My wife is one of 6. So all the Robinson and Chrisman clan, I appreciate them.
That goes into 1. Okay.
And that goes into, well, that's all 3. And then number 4, I thank God for my Higher Ground Worship Center family. They are a blessing, and I thank God for them. So
solid, man. Yeah. That's some powerful stuff. And yeah, just want to say thank you again, man. Thanks for the work you're doing. Obviously, we are pulling for you strong over here at STP. Anything we can do, again, man, just say the word. We're there. Pop up with the mobile setup, or have any type of meetings over here. Cedar Glade, the fam over at Cedar Glade too. But yeah, we'll make it happen, man. Pumped for you. Thank you for being on. I do have to give a shout out to Bill Wilson, Mr. Murfreesboro, for pushing, for making this happen. And I had several people, when I posted that a couple hours ago, reach out. They're like, tell myself what's up. Doe was one of those. Bill was one of those. Jonathan Harmon.
Yes.
Quite a few people were really excited for the show. We got more viewers than usual, so I want to say thank you for that as well, man. But
That's awesome.
any closing words?
Man, you're doing terrific work. I'll also shout out to my wonderful campaign team. I thank y'all for your help. Bill Wilson, Meredith Thomas,
Let's go.
Andrea, Grace Bell, and Beth Priest. She just recently took some time out so she could be more with her family, but I'm thankful for the work that she did. And Clay and Elizabeth Minatra, who have just been phenomenal. And so just thankful for that core. And shout out also to Julie Young, who was my treasurer before stepping away to take care of Pastor David Young. And we thank God that he continues to prosper and pray that he continues to heal and so that he can be back at full force, because God has a lot of great things to continue to do through him.
That's right, man. Well, y'all stay tuned. Be sure to get out and vote. Do your civic duty. And make wise decisions, man.
July 15th.
July 15th
is first day of early voting. Please get out.
Let's go, man. Well, I appreciate you, Andre. Thank you for being on, and we'll jump off, man.
Appreciate you, man.